I'm from the 4 divisions in the 9 districts who are this morning for your presence here, and we are all looking forward as effective and efficient leaders for 21st century learners. I believe that this year's theme encompasses on the 21st century global learning and smart leadership. The Teachers Association is much delighted to host this year's conference. Leaders become great not because of their power.
Head teachers, ladies and gentlemen, beloved Nakatio. It's always a pleasure to be here in the Western Division. Equally, as it's a pleasure to be in the North. I have to play safe. President, I totally agree with the issues that you have raised. And I want to assure you that we will progressively aspire to deliver those issues that you have raised about composite classes, about with respect to curriculum. I think it's happening. There are other issues you've raised. All of them hold ground. President, head teachers, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to address you all and officially open the Head Teachers Association 2017 conference. I also bring to you warm greetings from our Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Bainimarama. Foremost, I wish to thank you all for your hard work, effort and commitment that you have rendered towards your schools and our communities throughout Fiji at large. Your leadership of schools, particularly following the aftermath of Cyclone Winston, is exemplary. I also render my special thanks and appreciation to all those heads of schools who have retired during the course of the year. And I do hope that our community will benefit from the wisdom that you have acquired. Ladies and gentlemen, a conference of this nature involving people who have spearheaded education in our 736 primary schools across Fiji is a core component of our education system, and I applaud the efforts of all the stakeholders who have teamed up to organize this. Ladies and gentlemen, the problems of organizing primary schools are constantly cropping up in all countries because the increasing pace of change in society inevitably has its effect on education, and vice versa as well. Emily Blank, in an article published in the International Journal of Educational Management, Volume 4, Issue 3, titled Primary Education Issues and Trends, stated, and I quote, "While schools should not remain isolated from economic and social changes, it is their duty to correct certain social phenomena detrimental to a sound and balanced education of primary school pupils. Curricula have to be brought up to date regularly, and pupils must be progressively introduced to the basic elements of science and technology by methods suitable to their stage of intellectual development. Our society is more and more influenced by the results of scientific and technical progress, and young people must be prepared to live in such a society," unquote. She further adds that educational reform can only be effective if school management, teaching staff, parents, and related social organizations collaborate together. So it is not alone we can do it. Team education consists of people beyond our remit. It includes stakeholders such as management, parents. And without them, team education's goals won't be accomplished. Ladies and gentlemen, global education in the current era is manifested at meeting demands of the current blend of students. These students carry skills, abilities, and capacities and tools that bolster their ability to learn and explore education with its boundless possibilities. The tools of disseminating education have changed from being more teacher-centered to increasingly student-focused. Andreas Schleicher, in a research report titled Preparing Teachers and Developing School Leaders for the 21st Century, Lessons Around the World, stated, and I quote, "A generation ago, teachers could expect that what they taught would last for a lifetime of their students. Today, where individuals can access content on Google, where routine cognitive skills are being digitized and outsourced, and where jobs are changing rapidly, education systems need to place much greater emphasis on enabling individuals to become lifelong learners." It's a total mindset change. To manage complex ways of thinking and complex ways of working that computers cannot take over easily, students need to be capable of not only constantly adapting, but also constantly learning and growing, of positioning themselves and repositioning themselves in a fast-changing world, unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, unless and until we are able to get that mindset, our students at some point in time can become irrelevant because the society is changing rapidly. Thus, these changes have profound implications for teachers, teaching and learning, and most importantly, for leadership of schools and education systems. In the past, policy focus was on the provision of education. Today, it is on outcomes. We have moved away from an input-based teaching system to a teaching and learning and outcomes-based system. And Andreas Schleicher further elaborates in the same research report that the past was about delivered wisdom. The past was about delivered wisdom, what we thought needs to be delivered. The challenge now is to foster user-generated wisdom amongst teachers in the front line. Two, in the past, teachers were often left alone in classrooms with significant prescription on what to teach. The most advanced education systems now sets ambitious goals for students and are clear about what students should be able to do, and then prepare their teachers and provide them with the tools to establish what content and instruction they need to provide to the individual students. So, what it says is that we provide the framework, we provide the outcome and output and outcome that we want, and we advise on how to get there, but we don't stick to one methodology. We would want to give leeway to our leaders because it's output and outcome that matters. Input may differ. How you get to Suva by Queen's Road or King's Road, or you fly, you determine. And that's the kind of education system we want to have. We want to give that level of autonomy to our head teachers and principals that we define the output based on the outcome that at the national level we would want, a knowledge-based society. And the output we believe within our control is performance. And we define that. But we want to give you the autonomy while we'll advise, while we suggest that this is what you should be doing, this is how you should be doing, whether you want to complete the content in 2 terms or 3 terms. That's advice only. We give you the total autonomy to have control over the institution that you are bestowed, you deliver. 3, in the past, different students were taught in similar ways, thinking one size fits all. Today, teachers are expected to embrace diversity with differentiated pedagogical practices. I'm going to talk about pedagogy later on. But we need to understand that in the classroom, we've got children originating from different backgrounds, different households with different kinds of problems. We'll have to desegregate the classroom environment and develop responses based on the situation. 4, the goal of the past was standardization and conformity. Today, it is about being ingenious, about personalizing educational experiences. The past was curriculum-centered. The present is learner-centered. Teachers are being asked to personalize learning experiences to ensure that every student has a chance to succeed and to deal with increasing cultural diversity in their classroom and differences in learning styles, taking learning to the learner in ways that allow individuals to learn in the ways that are most conducive to their progress. They all have their own attribute that could be tapped into to increase their learning ability. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in this educational journey, we are not trying to address the current generation of children only, nor are we addressing problems of contemporary Fiji only. We are in the process of setting a foundation for educational delivery and ideological, philosophical, and mindset change for current and future generation of children for secure and prosperous future Fiji. Ladies and gentlemen, we are preparing our students for the needs and demands of the 21st century careers, which will mandate them to know how to think critically, solve problems, to innovate, to collaborate, and thus meet the demands of the changing job markets. Can I have the chair here? Can I have the chair? This thing is sliding down constantly and distracting me. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, change is vital for the progress of any individual group, organization, and education is seen as the single most important ingredient of the change process. Schools, therefore, have to offer situations, an environment which inculcates these attributes and thereby supporting students' holistic growth and development. Our aim is to deliver to our children the highest quality education contextualized to demands of this era. And this is where we need leaders or school heads who are empowered with 21st century skills. You all as school leaders are facilitators of change, managers of change, and more so, ambassadors of change, and as such your role are crucial to the process which may go beyond the boundary of the school compound. Ladies and gentlemen, as I have already deliberated before, the current education system needs effective, efficient leaders for 21st century learners, and this approach, contextualized in the theme of this conference, is as such immensely appropriate. The Fijian education system is going through a major overhaul in terms of quality and excellence, and we need empowered, effective, efficient education leaders who can bring about positive changes in the lives of our children. Kenneth Leitwood, in a research report titled Review of Research, How Leadership Influences Student Learning, published in 2004, states that leadership is widely regarded as a key factor in accounting for differences in the success with which schools foster the learning of the students. The contribution of effective and efficient leadership is largest when it is needed most, while other factors within the school can also contribute to such turnaround. Leadership is the catalyst. Ladies and gentlemen, effective education leadership makes a great difference in improving learning. Effective 21st century leaders are those who have overwhelmingly positive effect on the physical and cultural environment of the school, particularly towards the human resources under his or her command. An effective leader forefronts issues, scenarios, processes, instructions, and developments, and ensures the desired end results are met, meaning the concerted efforts of all stakeholders flowing through the command of the leader is functional and produces the right outcome. These leaders are impactful and create the team spirit and bonding much needed for growth and development. As school heads, effectiveness is seen through the end result of your efforts. And you must not lose sight of the end result. The academic results of the school, the performance in extracurricular activities, the physical and cultural environment of the school, and the type of services rendered to the children are some of the key indicators of the output. Efficient leaders in 21st century are those who can be counted upon to get the targets attained. These leaders thrive under pressure and always find solutions to address issues. These leaders go beyond the template, look for solutions outside the textbook, and are pragmatic. They do not buckle under the demands of the education in 21st century, but rather use that to strengthen their work ethics to meet the desired standards. Efficient leaders adopt a role model approach to leadership. They set examples and lead from the front in terms of meeting targets and inculcate inspiration for others. Kenneth Leawood, article published in 2004, Review of Research How Leadership Influences Student Learning, further points out that the three sets of practices which make up the basic core of successful leadership practices are: 1, setting directions. A critical aspect of leadership is helping a group to develop shared understanding about the organization and its activities and goals that can promote a sense of purpose and vision. 2, developing people. How do you ensure that people also feel that in the process they also are developing themselves professionally? While clear and compelling organizational directions contribute significantly to members' work-related motivation, they are not the only conditions to do so, nor do such directions contribute to the capacities members often need in order to productively move in those directions. 3, redesigning and organizing. Nothing is stopping you from having your own little model which is within the umbrella of our policies at your school. Some schools, all staffs wear ties. That's your own leadership model. And the teachers should not undermine that particular model that is being fostered by the head teacher or principal. So nothing is stopping you from having your own model in the school to instill discipline, set examples for discipline for the students, and to deliver the ultimate output. In addition, ladies and gentlemen, with the technological advancement, increasing social problems, new ideas, there's a need to strengthen values and virtues amongst our students as well as our teachers. We need to go back to those foundations which we have kind of swayed away from over the last 2 decades or 3 decades. Furthermore, you need to make yourselves more approachable and known to the teachers, students, and the community that you are there to assist and guide them. They must see you as someone whom they could come and relate to, seek advice, rather than someone whom they find it unapproachable and difficult to get ideas from. Ladies and gentlemen, our government has revolutionized the entire education system by first acknowledging that the access to education is the right of every Fijian, and then progressively removing all obstacles of accessing education by all Fijians from both the demand and the supply side. Demand side, what are some of the obstacles that are impeding students from accessing education or demanding the educational product? For example, not being able to get to school, difficulty in paying bus fare, not being able to pay fees, difficulty in accessing the school. not being able to buy textbooks. These are demand side obstacles. What are the supply side obstacles that we are continuously examining and removing? Space in schools, quality curriculum, inability of providing teachers. These are supply side obstacles that we are continuously examining and removing so that we kind of converge in ensuring that our children are able to get access to education, whether they are, wherever they are located, Undu Point, to Kesawas or Kandavu, or what ethnicity they belong, or what religious belief they hold. Everyone has the right to access education. Ladies and gentlemen, by now you should know how your school have done or stand in terms of external examination result of 2015 and last year. Primary education, as the name suggests, is the fundamental, is the foundation. And if we don't do well in primary education, it will affect secondary education as well as tertiary education. And therefore, we need to continuously examine how we are doing with respect to performance in our primary education system. If you look at the overall pass rate, in year 6, 2015, we had 40% pass rate. Year 8, 2015, 70% pass rate. In 2016, 48% pass rate in year 6. Year 8, 65% pass rate. Now, we were wondering why students are not doing well in our secondary school system. But if you look at the year 8 result, 65% of them passed last year. But all of them have gone to the secondary school. Now, 35% of them have failed, but they also have gone. Most of them. Of course, they are dropouts, something that we'll talk in another session. So, we can't expect the high school system to deliver 100% pass rate when this 35% lack the foundation, the basics, the fundamentals. No matter how much extra classes the mathematics teacher will undertake, it will be difficult for that student to gain that mathematical knowledge at that level with that learning outcome because the fundamental and foundation is missing. So while we have made compulsory progression, we just can't pass on incomplete, half-baked product to our secondary school system and demand that they deliver 100% pass rate. So we have to raise the bar. We have to look at how we could ensure that all these children do well. Now, having 100% pass rate doesn't mean all students are required to get 100 out of 100. In a classroom, if you have all students getting 50 out of 100, you will have a 100% pass rate. Now, if you look at, if you go down a little bit and look at the performance subject-wise, look at year 6 exam, 2015, English pass rate was 43%, 2016, 54%. Mathematics, 2015, 51% pass rate, 2016, 29% pass rate. General subject, 2015, 37% pass rate, 2016, 47% pass rate. So you can see that in general subject, the pass rate is below 50%. In mathematics, last year the pass rate was below 50%. English slightly above 50%. If you look at year 8, English 2015, 73% pass rate, 2016, 70% pass rate. Mathematics, 49% pass rate 2015, in 2016, 41% pass rate. Basic science, 54% pass rate in 2015, 2016, 74% pass rate. Healthy living, 81% pass rate in 2015, 73% pass rate in 2016. Social science, 75% pass rate, and 63% pass rate in 2016. So, except for mathematics, we're doing extremely well in all the other subjects in year 8. So we will need to concentrate a lot in the lower primary to improve the performance in year 6, so that those who are teaching at year 7 and 8 can do better in these subjects, particularly mathematics. Now, if you look at percent pass rate by division, you will see that Batavua, the percent of schools over 50%, Batavua in year 6, 38% last year, Eastern 44%, the Kondrave 37%, Lautoka 48%, Maduatabua 58%, Nanonganovosa 38%, Ra 23%, Nosori 34%, Suva 44%. So interestingly, Maduatabua we got 58% pass rate in 2016, above 50%, 58% of the schools. In year 8, we have done extremely well in all the divisions. The highest in the Lautoka Esawa, 86% of the schools have over 50% pass rate. So this level of decomposed data is available, and we are happy to provide you with respect to how you are placed in the national, amongst the 736 schools, how you are placed in your district, and how you are placed subject-wise. I think this is something that you should look at, data as your president alluded to earlier on, so that you can see where the issues are, which subject, which class, which teacher. Ladies and gentlemen, the final output and thus the outcome of a knowledge-based society requires us of having a dynamic education system, which now should move towards focusing on pedagogy. Pedagogy is a critical variable in teaching. It deals with having the required knowledge and practice to teach and enhance learning. So it's not about subject matter content. It's about knowledge of how to deliver. That's what pedagogy is. I think that is very critical nowadays, given that in our classroom, we find children with different backgrounds and different problems. And you can have the topmost teacher teaching, but the student's mind is somewhere else, about the quarrel that the parents had in the morning at home, about the movie that he or she wants to watch, about the rugby game, about someone whom he or she wants to meet. So how do you deliver to a captive audience in the classroom? How do you ensure that the children are following what we are teaching? What are the methodologies you'll use to deliver different types of content? This is what pedagogy deals with. I think the focus over the next decade should be on looking at pedagogies. And that's where you have, as heads of schools, have a lot of leeway in terms of developing your own, while we will also support our curriculum section, etc., will support in looking at what would be the pedagogy to be adapted for literacy and numeracy. And we'll be launching today, with the assistance of AGAP, a strategy and a package of how we would want to enhance literacy and numeracy delivery in our lower primary schools, because that's where we find problems. Now on this, I wish to quote from a recent article published in the Australian Journal of Education, published last year titled Multimodal Representation During an Inquiry Problem Solving Activity in Year 6 Science Class by Gillis et al., a number of other authors. And I quote, teaching students to use and interpret different representational tools is critically important if they are to be scientifically literate, to understand how scientific ideas and concepts are represented, and to appreciate how scientists think and act. Moreover, students not only need to be competent at using and explaining representations and learning new representations quickly, but they also need to have opportunities to work cooperatively with others. It is through interactions between learners, tools in the environment, that learning occurs. So if you need to shift your focus from teaching only to learning and learning outcome, and then come reverse and see what mode and methodology will allow you to deliver that particular learning outcome. And I do hope that you all understand this notion of learning outcome. Ladies and gentlemen, in this regard, we also need to understand about students conducting themselves, not only distracting themselves from studying, but also disturbing the learning environment, and thus affecting negatively other students' learning and uptake. There's a lot of research done on this. And let me quote from a recent research 2016 article published in the International Journal of Educational Management by Chris Bowman, titled School Discipline, School Uniforms and Academic Performance, Volume 30, Issue 6. And he quotes, and I quote, he writes, in our literature review, we have found evidence that higher levels of discipline would be associated with stronger academic results. So there's a positive correlation. It's not a causality study. It's a correlation found that higher the level of discipline among students, the better the academic performance. Not a genius result, but theoretical framework also suggests that. But at times we need to question and interrogate the existing body of literature to get convinced that, look, we need to emphasize on this particular area. And let me continue. There was clear evidence that students who perform strongest academically are the one unique subset significantly different to the low and medium performing groups. Those academically high-performing students are the ones with significantly highest discipline scores. Specifically, we found the highest-performing students are the ones who listen best, have the lowest noise levels, and make the teachers wait the shortest to start the class. As one might expect, highest-performing students are also the ones that work well, and they contribute to class starting on time. It could thus be concluded that what is needed is the highest level of discipline for students to peak perform, unquote. So thus, ladies and gentlemen, there's a need to prioritize and put a lot of effort on student discipline. It is in this regard that we have decided to take a very strong position on students who are not behaving like a student, who are not behaving like children, want to behave like adults. If they want to behave like adults, then they don't belong to our school system, because they become a threat to not only the children and disturbance to the learning environment, they also become a threat to our teachers. We cannot continue to keep them in the school system and rehabilitate them. Our schools are not rehabilitation centers. Our schools is a place or centers for learning, teaching and learning. We can tolerate, there's a limit, an extent to which we can tolerate. But we cannot tolerate at the cost of providing insecurity and risk to our students and teachers. So, and we can see also that research reinforces that they will become a threat to the learning environment of the entire school community. So, ladies and gentlemen, quality of school leadership, all this that I alluded to and the President had alluded to ties up with school leadership. All this is pretty much with you. But I do understand that you need quality infrastructure, you need supporting infrastructure. And a large number of you originate from schools where the level of and quality of infrastructure are not comparable to urban schools. I want to thank you for your perseverance, for your patience. We have begun a process of providing you with more per capita grant and additional support financially, small grants, so that we want your school too to have that infrastructure which we find in Deen Bandhu Primary or MGM Primary or Nehru Primary or the standard urban schools that parents fight to send their children to. And I want to assure you that given the gap is so large that it will take time for us to get there. But the fact that we have started by first admitting and two, by taking appropriate measures. Twice we changed the grant formula so that your school in the interior and maritime zone can get more per capita grant. We did that, very bold move. And we have also provided 14 million additional grant over the last 2 years to use in schools in the interior rural areas so that you can upgrade your infrastructure, construct additional quotas, because you need quotas in the rural interior where you don't find those kind of accommodation that you find in urban area to rent. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do hope that the deliberations that we'll have over the next, today and tomorrow, will center around some of these issues that I've raised. And I want to thank you all for your perseverance, your assistance. You're part of the team education family. Without you, we can't deliver onto the vision that our Honorable Prime Minister, our government has for educating every Fijians in this country. For long, the children of poor households couldn't realize the dream because our education system was based on unequal education access policy. Those things are days of the past. We want education dream to be realized for all children, all households, all parents. And we want to assure you that with your support we can realize that. And I want to thank you all for making it here today. And you have our support, the Head Teachers Association. You will continue to receive our support. You are a professional body and you deserve nothing less. I want to congratulate you for organizing this. And I wish you all the best. It's my pleasure to declare this conference open. Thank you.